Folks are on a little bit early tonight, working out some of the technical situations or the updates, etc. Hope we're getting through it to you all right. And this is always a challenge. We send you updates and say, we're going to go on the air now. So we decided to go ahead with it. We'll say good evening to you a little bit early here tonight. Chat a bit before we get Ben Troop. We got the Orange and Blue Bloods. Matter of fact, I got to change the label up there. Orange and Blue Bloods Thursday. And this is a night when we talk about things pertaining particularly to the Gator family, stuff that more about fans and less about media. We try to do all of that on the show and give you a chance to voice your opinions and thoughts. And so we hope as you begin to join us here in the next few minutes, we'll pick up on some of those thoughts. Lots to think about, as a matter of fact. I've been thinking about it all day, as a matter of fact. It's an interesting time right now, but introspectively, but it's a little bit odd. And we're trying to figure out how's this thing going to shake down. We've all got our points of view in terms of what we're going to do. So tonight we're going to focus a lot on that. This is a program we deep dive a little more into subjects. You might get in tonight, for instance, the deep dive on Graham Mertz. We've talked about him a little bit, but Franz Beard and I have talked about him, written about him, and we'll discuss that with Franz in just a minute. We'll also have Ben Troop here in about 15 minutes or so, chat with him about his take on things, former player and terrific podcasts, 84 podcasts he does. And then our man, our own coach, as a matter of fact, we call him Coach. He's been doing this for a while now, and we love having Lauren Meadows on for his perspective and his thoughts. And so we get kind of different points of view on this show, especially on Orange and Blue Bloods. Orange and Blue Bloods Thursday. It's not Monday, I know. I understand what the graphic says, but we understand that. And this is the time when we like to get together as a family, right? And kick around things in a different tone that you won't get on other social media like Facebook or Twitter or what have you. And maybe I'd like to think it's a little more intimate than that, all right? We say things. And then on this show, it's family. We take care of each other. And we always like to get perspective. And sometimes family squabbles, and we do that sometimes. But tonight, as we get ready to launch the show here in about 2 minutes, we're early tonight. Donald Wilder, great to see you up so early tonight. You get the pole position tonight because nobody else expects us quite this early. Well, we got some things to talk about tonight, and I am going to talk about a subject that we don't discuss much on this show. It doesn't relate to the SEC or football, or it doesn't relate to the Gators. It's something else, a subject that's been very near and dear to my heart all these years, and some of you won't like it. But you know what? Sometimes, as it says the Buddy Martin Show, I'm able to do that on my show. So please don't consider me arrogant, just interested. So go ahead and log on and tell your friends and neighbors we're about to launch here in about 1 minute on the Buddy Martin Show. Orange and Blue Blood Thursday coming your way in just a moment. We came on early tonight because the software people hit us up with an update. And that means trouble sometimes. So I want to make sure that's all good. We have to log it off and log it back on, whatever. Looks like we're getting through loud and strong tonight. Looking forward to having you on the program, along with Ben Troop, Franz Beard, Lauren Meadows. And as we prepare for a pretty big weekend in sports, a lot of stuff going on with the softball team, the gymnastics team, et cetera, et cetera. We try to cover all that stuff right here on the program. So that's what we'll be doing. We'll also be taking a look, as we said, the quarterback position. A sad note or two about some friends, a friend that I lost tonight. And we'll talk about Colin Castleton. I mean, we have to talk about Colin Castleton after what he has done and the fate that's befallen him. So stand by. The Buddy Martin Show, Orange and Blue Bloods Thursday, is on the air.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. but be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening and welcome to the program, and good evening to all you joining me a little early tonight. And we said Donald Wilder was the first time anybody's ever gone before the show started. Good job, Donald. Also, Philip Burney, what's up to you, my brother? Nice to see you on here. Robert Turner, getting to be a regular every night, Robert. We like that. Michael Burton, another guy that's regular, back tonight. And David Baldoff, always in there with his dilly-dilly, been doing this for a lot of years. Our reliable Dan Bond from out in Texas has become quite the correspondent, writing gymnastics, I'm sure some softball. And Mary Helen McCollum, so good to hear from you, coming in at Crescent Beach. Good. So go Gators. Yeah, that's a good place to coming from, Mary Helen. Nice to hear from you again. I'm sorry if I haven't told you about Sammy. I wrote about it tonight too. Sammy's good. We're so happy, and thanks for asking. It was a joyous day for us. I almost feel guilty talking about it so much because we've talked about it a good deal with our family dog, Sammy, and I promise you I won't do this anymore, but he's been on our minds and hearts for 5 days, and for those you don't know, he's a little escape artist. He got away, our grand dog, as we call him, got away and was gone for 5 days. And there were some broken hearts around here and some folks very, very upset, including my granddaughter. He was a rescue dog, and we didn't know what had happened. We couldn't find him in the shelters. Brendan Martin posted everywhere on landline to tell folks that were on social media, tell them we're looking for Sammy. And lo and behold, we finally got a call last night. And a lady not too far from where Brendan lives, on the southeast side, said she thought she had Sammy. And sure enough, we got Sammy back. It was a glorious day at our house, I tell you. And thanks for asking. Thanks to all you folks who said a little prayer. And it was just a devastating. It's like having a member of your family, when you lose them. You're so afraid not going to. So, Michael Burton, thank you for asking very much. Appreciate that. Good evening to Toby C. Permanent. Toby's a regular. Good to see you again, my friend. Of course, all you others, Robert, thank you. Thank you, Robert, for that comment. Okay, we're going to do a little commercial, and I'm going to talk to you on a subject that some of you are going to hate me for, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. I saw something tonight that was awesome. Something in sports that, honestly, I don't know, I didn't know if I'd ever see again. And it was very, very, very impressive. So we'll hear from our sponsors, starting with our friends at Titan MRI, and we'll start the program.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Thank you, Jeff Cardozo. I just want to say this as a personal note. I had some of my family had to have a CAT scan recently, and they charge, I think, in Titan MRI $100, period. And with insurance, this person went in to have a CAT scan. With insurance, it was $110. I don't know much about medical things and costs. I just know that sounds like a pretty good deal to me when you get the whole thing for $100 cash. in games will tighten them. All right, might want to check it out and see if you can save a little money. So David Baldoff wants to know, is it golf? Well, that's kind of a personal question, David, but you know what? It's more than golf. What I just saw just now made me appreciate so much what we have seen over the years, and the fans did too, and trust me, sports is made up of moments, okay? There's certain moments that you'll always treasure, things that you won't forget about your favorite players or your teams, etc. And that's what it is. It's a tapestry of moments for all of us. Now, I don't follow this day by day and week by week, but I was once in the game for a good 12, 13 years of golf and as a public relations director for a PGA Tour event. Anyway, about that time, along came a young player, 16 years old, named Tiger Woods. I saw him when he played in his first tournament in LA at 16, and I knew I was seeing something special, but I didn't know how special. Now here's Tiger at the end of his career. What is he? Somebody give me his age. I haven't got it real close to me. 47, whatever he is. And he is hanging on, trying just to keep his body together. And today, in one of the first big events of the year, the Genesis played at Riviera Country Club in LA, which is a really nice course. I've been there a few times. They paired Tiger with two of his good friends to play. Rory, obviously, is one of them, and Justin's the other. And they played in the final. They played in the first round. The idea is you don't get to see those iconic golfers walking up the fairway together much, because Tiger doesn't make it to the final day often. And the fact that they paired them together, you think, well, you see them. Well, when I turned it on with the 16th hole, Tiger was 1 over par. Okay, 1 over par. These other guys are way 4 or 5 under, whatever it may be. The last 3 holes playing against the threesome, it was such a glorious thing. All 3 guys made birdies at the 18th. And Tiger made 3 straight birdies. The crowd was going nuts. It was so good to see that again, to see those gigantic titans of golf together playing on the same golf course in a meaningful moment. For me, I'm sorry if you don't like golf or you wouldn't appreciate that, but I did, and I do. And I was really happy I was able to see it, all right? So forgive me for that if you didn't like it. So, all right, so let me go back now and finish off with our other commercial, and then Ben should be here shortly, all right? Stay tuned on the Buddy Barton Show. Ben's coming up, Lauren Meadows is coming up, and the man himself, the Iron Duke, Franz Beard. Stay tuned.
When you're a member of the Gator Nation, you know what it means to never back down. Meldon Law has been a proud supporter of the Gator Nation since 1971. 2 forces that won't back down. As the old saying goes, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em.
Hi, Meldon Law. Thanks very much for their support of this program. Thanks to all our sponsors. We really appreciate what they do and make this possible for us, and they've been very loyal to us. Thank you for that. Okay, in other news tonight, and Ben will be along, we're going to look at some things that are going on in the game of football. There's one name in particular that I keep coming back to. Now, think about coaches who have been here before and what they've done and what I thought of them at the time. And one guy that has been intriguing me has been Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson, who was a quarterback coach and then offensive coordinator last year for Dan Mullen. The offense, when he left, has never been as good. He went to the Philadelphia Eagles. How'd they do? Pretty good. And now he was a quarterback coach, and it looks like he might become the offensive coordinator. Brian Johnson was a terrific coach. I thought so at the time. I was impressed with his training, how he did it. And so Brian Johnson in a good position now to move up and be heard from. Here's a guy who's going to be heard from and moving up and is always in a good position. My good friend Ben Troop Hello, Ben. Looking good, man. I like that look. That's the not dark background. Looking
Hey,
good.
listen, but I ain't trying to make it look like that. It's just when you be in different locations, I'm like, look, I'm gonna get as much light as I
Yeah,
can.
that's
I'm
good.
not long,
Yeah.
long as it's not in the dark. How you been though, man? How's everything?
Pretty good, Ben. I was talking about Tiger Woods tonight. I don't know if you saw it or not, but he played in the Riviera Open. And of course, I know people don't like to talk about golf. Well, just indulge me for a second. This is a special occasion. So he and McIlroy and Justin Thomas played together. And it worked out. They came up the last three holes. And Tiger needed to make a birdie. He was one over. And those two guys played lights out for the last three holes. And Tiger made three straight birdies, man. Three straight birdies. And the crowd was going nuts. And I thought, man, what a time to enjoy. I have enjoyed this so much. And Ben, you'd enjoy that too.
Of course. I mean, but it's funny. Tiger Woods he transcended the game, right? He's the reason why most people, enjoy the game of golf, watch the game of golf. But it seems as though now, because he's accomplished everything, he can enjoy himself. But sometimes, he shows that flash of brilliance. He's like, I'm still Tiger. Like, and I know I don't have to, prove anything anymore. I've done it all. But that's what the crowd came for. Just imagine you pay for a tournament that, you always hear rumblings, Tiger's going to play, he might play. Then he plays. Then you go, hey, man, he needs three birdies. He needs three birdies. He needs a birdie. He sinks three. I remember back in 2019, right before the pandemic hit. No. Tiger won it in 2021. My friend Christian Gokel, who does Second Down, I said, Christian, what's going to happen in the final round of the Masters? He said, the Tigers in the final group, they're going to come around with that back nine, and I just want you to see the two people's faces who he's paired with. And that's just how it happened. He goes, you want to be in it in the final round, you just don't want Tiger to be in your group. He says, because it's a different type of feeling. It's like, I've been to an event that Michael Jordan was there. And here I am going, all right, it's just Michael Jordan. I ain't going to be. And then he walks out, and I couldn't even talk. I'm like, because it's like certain people. So yeah. I'm just happy for Tiger Woods. He's enjoying himself. He's earned it. His son plays now. Honestly, people, what else is Tiger Woods' son going to do? Let's just be, what else was he? Go into business? Like, come on. His kid was going to play golf. Now, that's some big shoes to fill, But, hey, buddy, I think that's what we love about sports, right? You get a glimpse of some greatness. LeBron James recently scored the most points in NBA history, which Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had that record for 40 years. Hey, listen, buddy, our favorite time of the year, baseball season is about to kick off again. Come on, let's go with that. But a lot of great things going on right now. Tiger, keep doing what you're doing. I mean, a billionaire. Jesus. A billionaire? I mean, it ain't like he hurting for any money. But I'm always happy to see Tiger out there playing. Golf was always better. Didn't make waves. The Live Tour didn't get Tiger, right? They wanted him. Right. He was like, nah.
They offered him $1 billion, by the way.
Yeah. But the thing about Tiger understands the ramifications of him going over to the Live Tour. And listen, and that's nothing against the people that win. I mean, buddy, if Buddy Martin's career earnings were, $10 million, they want to offer you that. I mean, you got to talk to Miss Martin. It's going to be hard to turn that down. So for those people, those holier than thou, I wouldn't have took the money. It's easy to say what you wouldn't do if you haven't been presented the proposition.
I'm on record now saying I'm taking the $10 million, okay?
Listen, Buddy Martin is saying this. I can deal with forgiveness later. If y'all never forgive me, who cares? Okay? I got, but no, I'm always happy to see Tiger Woods out there on the course. He's bigger than the sport. I mean, Jack Nicholson, we never thought we would see that again. We never thought anybody would even get close to that. No. And here comes this kid, from Florida, went to Stanford and was on the David Letterman show or wherever the Tonight Show or whatever.
It was the Tonight Show
And
with
he was
Jack.
phenomenal,
Well,
but,
back at
hey, man,
age 7 or 8, he was on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I told the story earlier. I was in the golf business. I went to L.A. I just traveled around and seeing players and stuff. And I went to Riviera, and I went to see Tiger play his first event, 16 years old. And everybody had heard how great a player he was. So I went and see for myself. And I remember he was teeing off on number 1, but it was his 10th hole because he started the backside at 16. And I walked over and watched him hit. And he had a nice swing. He hit the ball, but he hit it in what they call a barranca. Okay, that ditch down there, which is number 1. And that gnarly grass down there is just like wire. I mean, you can't get a blade of it with your grass. And so he goes in there, and I thought, well, he's going to lay up. And he goes in there with a long iron. I thought, son, you're going to learn something about golf right here. This is not what you do when you're down in the barranca with this wire grass. You know? So he gets up there, and he takes a whack and knocks it up in front of the green. I thought, whoa, wait a minute now. This thing just ain't a guy. And so he caught my eye right there. But obviously, anybody could tell Tiger was a great player. But anyway, so we're glad to see that. And I want to get to some things that people want you to talk about. Robert Turner says preach. He wants to hear Ben preach tonight. And I want to, and by the way, Dan Bond said Ben is always on the move, which he is.
Hey, listen. I know this though. No matter where I am, Thursday nights between 9 and whatever, I'm here.
With us. You belong to us Thursday night.
Well, exactly. And the thing about it is too, buddy, it's one of those things to where, when you talk about the brotherhood, that's whatever we're doing. And I'm not taking away what women and young ladies in the sisterhood, but it's different for us because it transcends what we're doing. It's Buddy, it's myself, it's Lauren, it's friends. It's you get used to it, man. And it's most people don't get a place to, I don't know, just be themselves and talk about sports, things they love and they family members. I mean, Buddy, since you and your daughter sent me the thing about the tower, my mama was asking me 3,000 questions. I said, Mama, listen to me. She's talking about, do I want it outside? I said, call Lori. I said, call Lori 50 times a day. I said, listen, Mama. I said, during the season, Buddy was showing off to me and friends. He'll show us hamburger with his little lettuce and tomato on it.
I did.
Right? What it is, right? My mom doesn't want to admit the fact that it's a great idea. Like she don't want to just come out and say, well, I said, well, Mama, get both. If you want indoor, outdoor. I said, but just know, you're not a real gardener. This is gonna do all the work. And call Lori. Just call Lori.
Call Lori. Hey, by the way, here's what it looks like, just so you know, since you brought it up. And I ate dinner tonight off of it. And I'll show you just a second. There it is. There's the grow tower. Mm-hmm. It sits in my office right there. It waters itself.
Exactly. My mama talking about, do I got to water it? Mama, if you got to water it, them plants they're not going, no. They're not doing anything.
Well, I mean, you have to put water in it every 6 weeks.
So you got to do that. I said, you got to put water in it.
Yeah, and there's no fertilizing, no dirt, no nothing.
It is mama proof. It is my mama proof. Yeah. That's what it is.
Well, let us know how it goes. We'd like to hope she gets
Listen. This is what happened, buddy. I tell my mom about it yesterday. You know what she did all day today? She been talking to my daddy about it. That's what she been doing all day. And my dad is like, get the freaking thing. Like, just leave me alone about it. Get the freaking thing. Just so you can start growing some vegetation.
I hope it goes well for her. It's been great for us. And like I said, I had dinner off of it tonight. So, all right, I didn't mean to get that as a plug. But I want to get to a topic that I think is important here. And that is that every now and then we see a coach come through, assistant coach primarily, that makes a mark for us. So we think, this guy got something special. I feel this guy's not your average everyday guy. And you think, I wonder if it's just me or whatever. And then sometimes that guy shows up and shows out and looks good and goes on from the Gators to become a very successful coach. Well, this such was a guy for me, for Brian Johnson. When he was here, and I think I talked to you about it at the time, I watched him work a little bit, and I interviewed him with a group of other people. And he made a mark on me because he talked about how he trains his quarterbacks. He's quarterback coach. He became offensive coordinators last year under Mullen.
Yep.
And he said, talking about reps, he said, I give all my quarterbacks the same number of reps of number ones every day. I said, what? How can that be possible? No, I give them all the same number of reps every day. It's no coincidence that Kyle stepped up and did what he did because he had a lot of the reps. Trask was ready to go when he went in there and played against Kentucky. And I thought, how brilliant was that, right? I've talked to other coaches, Coach Spurrier, Coach Meyer. Nobody ever did that. Nobody does that. Nobody does. Nobody ever heard of that. Now he's going to be the next offensive coordinator for it looks like right now because the OC left for Philadelphia. He's going to be the Eagles' next offensive coordinator. Ben, what do you know about him? What do you think about him? And sometimes we overlook these guys.
We do. What I know about Brian Johnson is he's well loved, not just by his quarterbacks, but everybody on the offensive side of the ball. He understood the importance of building relationships. I remember the thing he used to do with Emory Jones, and they were showing his relationship with him just away from the field. And the thing about it is, buddy, we forget sometimes some of the most highly scrutinized assistant jobs in the country are at these big time college programs. If you're the quarterback's coach in Florida, if you're the offensive coordinator in Florida, I mean, it's gonna either be it's either gonna catapult your career or it's gonna dethrone it. You won't get it in between. And Brian Johnson was a guy that I remember when he left to go to Philadelphia to coach a quarterback, I was sad to see him go because I know what he meant to the quarterback position. I know what he meant to that offense. And now that he's getting a chance to be the OC, obviously the next stop is a head coach. Because obviously every assistant coach should have dreams and aspirations of wanting to be head coaches. But yes, I mean, for me, my time in Florida, it was Charlie Strong. I remember when Charlie Strong was the defensive coordinator at South Carolina that he came over to Florida. We don't realize these guys do more than just coach their side of the ball or their position. I remember when I was when Coach Zook brought him in to be the D coordinator. It's Thanksgiving. He's got all the defensive players at his house. He got me at his house. The conversations you have with these guys, the commitment that these guys, because what you think is, yes, I got Dwayne Dixon because he's my position coach. Obviously, you got Ron Zook. You got you got Mike Zombreck and so on and so forth. But a defensive coordinator, Charlie Strong, who yelling at me in practice when I'm not performing up to my level. That's what a Brian Johnson was, because you know how it is, buddy. When it comes to a coach and a player's relationship, you can't fake that. You can't make that happen. That's either organic or it's not. It's either natural or it's not. And I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him because everybody thinks they want to be. Listen, you want to be position coaches at these schools because of the money and the notoriety. But, buddy, just like I know, it's a lot of scrutiny. Ty Grantham, for instance. I don't think Ty Grantham is a bad defensive coordinator.
No, I don't either.
I just think that you can't have ebbs and flows when you're at Florida. You just can't. So I'm happy for Brian Johnson. Listen, I was happy for Marquand Manuel when he became the defensive coordinator for at Atlanta.
Yeah.
I just be happy for these guys, buddy, because like I said, as rare as it is to be a student athlete in Florida, it's even rarer to be a position coach, an assistant coach. These are the premier, coaching destinations in the country. So I'm happy for B. Johnson. Like I said, just like I told Trey Burton when I had him on my podcast, I feel as though I do this services when I don't make a trip down to Gainesville to just meet them in person, to just shake their hand and tell them what I see from afar. Like, Coach, I'm not in the building. And I got to get I got to get what I see from you from the players. But I ain't never heard nothing bad about him. And buddy, you know how it is. You ain't going to be pleasing everybody. I get it. Because you got 4 guys in one room and ain't but one guy going to start. Yeah. You love them all, but ain't but one going to start. I'm just happy for him. And like I said, the Philadelphia Eagles, hey, man, y'all getting y'all a good one. Because Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, go there and those guys, hey, man, you're going to have to still deal with Kansas City. But I'm happy for Brian Johnson. I know what it's like. Listen, Brian Johnson is about to be the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. Rand Carthon, my former teammate.
Yeah.
General manager for my Tennessee Titans, the first African American general manager in Titans history. Hey, these guys are doing big things, man. I'm happy for all parties involved.
Well said. Well said. Ben, tell people about your podcast because people want to know 84 Reasons, where is it, how do you get it, and all that stuff.
80. Oh man, I'll be remiss if I didn't say my producer Ryan. Ryan is the one that makes it go. You can find it on YouTube, all podcasting networks, any streaming networks that if it's an Apple Podcast, iTunes, if it
Spotify and all that.
Spotify. But I will say this about the podcast though. It's been truly my pleasure to talk to guys like, former players like Seatric Faison that played with me. Trey Burton, responsible for the most famous play in Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl history with the Philly Special. Patrick Young. You don't have a better story than Patrick Young and his global impact. It's been so fun, buddy, because what I went into it the same way we started when we got in the when we started talking to the players, buddy. I didn't do this super duper pre-planning. It's got to be give me some current players, give me some former Gators, give me some future Gators. I don't care who they are. Let's do and listen, Javon Dexter and Anthony Richardson and Justin Shorter, and it's been so fun for me because a lot of these guys I played with, played against, heard about. But it's been really, really humbling. I mean, I'm looking to get some of these coaches on, and when if I get Billy Napier on, I'm gonna say, hey Billy, you need to listen. You don't know this, but before you kick off in 2023, man, you need to have Buddy Martin. You're doing everything right. You got a gazillion phases. You need a Buddy Martin phase. Put on a Buddy Martin shirt, right, and let him come. Because to me, buddy, I think that. No different than listen when a coach comes in and understands customs. All traditions don't got to be for everybody to know, right? But if I'm Billy Napier, I'm saying to myself, I haven't talked to Buddy Martin yet. No, you need to do that only because you listen, buddy. Obviously, you got a following, you got a fan base. People want to hear from him. Plus, you get to talk to him. It don't got to be these. You your own editor. But I will say, Billy Napier. He needs to get on your show. Hopefully, I can get him to come through.
Well, that'd be
nice. It's been fun, though. It's been fun.
And Billy's got bigger fish to fry. I get it. I do want to get it because I've interviewed every coach since Bob Woodruff, and I'd like to get my one-on-one with Billy. And I've asked about that, and I've been told they're trying to work me in, but who knows when. But it'll happen when it does. I want to get to a subject that we're going to be talking about all year long. Okay, it's a subject. Unfortunately, we don't know enough about these cats because we don't get to talk to them much. But I talked to a guy today or yesterday and last night who did talk to him. We're talking about two quarterbacks. They're going to be much discussed all year. All right, Graham Mertz, who's from Wisconsin, and the guy that, by all such imagination, he's got a lot of experience. And a guy that has some talents that we probably haven't seen. And then Zach Miller, who's already on the squad. And I've talked to others about him. They say he's a talented guy. I don't know who will be the quarterback, but all we can talk about is what seems and feels like this whole thing. I heard one encouraging report from Scott Carter, who sat down and interviewed Graham Mertz. And he asked him about why he made a decision to come to Gainesville. And he said he was here visiting in December. And he said he watched the coaching staff work and how hard they coach the players. He said, that's what I want. I want to be coached hard. Now, that's an encouraging sign to me, Ben, isn't it to you?
It is. Let me say this, too. I think what happened with the whole Graham Mertz situation, it had nothing to do with Graham. We know about players in our general proximity. So we're going to know more about players in the southern region when it comes to football, right? We're going to know about, the Grayson McCalls, the Sam Hartmans. That's what we're going to know, Wake Forest and Coastal Carolina. Graham Mertz was a big-time recruit coming out of high school. He picked Wisconsin over a lot of schools, a lot in the Southeast. Jack Miller coming over from Ohio State. I remember when he came over. It's, buddy, what starts happening is, this is what it really is. We didn't get this crystal ball, quarterback on all these networks, and people start going crazy. Yeah. Jack Miller came off an injury, got to play in a bowl game, right? Graham Mertz said, I like the way they coach hard. I like two quarterbacks, highly recruited. Because for people that say, oh, man, Joe Burrow didn't start out at LSU. Jalen Hurts didn't start off at Oklahoma. Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray, neither one of them started off at Oklahoma. So we need to stop this. And I give you two words, Kyle Trask. Look, you got to give these guys a shot. I think it's because of where they play, but not the position that they play. The most highly scrutinized quarterback position in the state of Florida is always going to reside in Gainesville. I don't care who it is, and I don't care what they're doing. So I'm happy at the competition, buddy, because the one thing I know is I don't want to be so much better than the guy behind me that it's my job to lose. I want to earn it. I want to go into the spring that, you know what that does? That makes all the position guys be on alert. Hey, man, don't be slacking off. Yeah. If this guy's in, when that guy's in, you better be because we don't know who's going to do what. Yes, we got to go to Utah first game of the year, but it's a long time. You got to get through off-season lifting and freaking the spring. But I like the fact that Graham said, look, I want to be Coach Hard. Yeah. Jack Miller, he's seen what it takes because he spent a whole year behind a guy like Anthony Richardson. Is the quarterback position going to look different in 2023? Yes. I don't care what type of athletes you got. They ain't going to look like, Richardson. Nobody is. But I think two things we got. Three. We got a good O-line coming back. We got the best duo, if not the best duo in the country at running back coming back. And once again, but just like in 2022, listen, Pearsall coming back helps. Henderson helps. Zipper helps, right? So I'm looking forward to the competition. I was at Florida when I thought that Jesse Palmer was going to be the starter. Then here comes Rex Grossman with Brock Berlin being the number one recruit in the country in 2000. Then you go from that to Ingle Martin, and then you got Ingle Martin to Chris Lee. So the quarterback position in Florida is always going to be big-time competition with a loaded room, but the best player will play. I'm rooting for anybody in orange or blue. I don't have a favorite. Any one of them that runs out there, I wish them nothing but the best. But, buddy, you got to have a backup just as good as the starter, just in case. You have to go to the backup. But I'm looking forward to the QB competition coming this spring.
Well, so is this guy right here. If you say good evening to France Beard, and I want to, how are you, Francis? I want to talk about before we start the heart of an athlete, okay, which is the essence of what we talk about. When somebody gives their all, Ben, I mean, you've had rare chances to play with a few guys who just literally, to use the cliche, left it all out on the field every time. And such is the guy we just saw last night on the court. And Francis I wrote about it, and many other have. But my heart goes out to Colin Castleton for the way he played this game and came back and didn't have to, and gave on every rebound, was banging every took charges, got banged up physically, gave everything he had, and was on a tear these last 4 weeks until Ole Miss, where he scored an average of 25 points a game in the last 4 games. So, Francis, you wrote about it tonight and get everybody. So, good evening to Ben. And you and Ben talk about an athlete like Colin Castleton and what we owe him.
Well, you find a lot of guys that play the game in name only. And then you find guys that the game is part of them. And it's those guys that when the game is part of you, there's nothing you won't do to help a teammate. There's nothing you won't do to win a game. You'll take the abuse. You'll do whatever it takes to make your team better. And that's because you got a warrior mentality. And warriors are like that. Warriors are not selfish people. You can't be a warrior and be a selfish guy. You can be a gladiator and be a selfish guy, but you can't be a warrior. Warriors are concerned about their teammates. Warriors want the team to be better. It's always about the team. I'm writing about it tonight for the magazine, but I want to pass one thing on to you guys, and I'd like to hear your comments about it. I go back to the Kentucky game, and this was Collins' first year with the Gators, and there was a recurring theme that entire year, first year and throughout all 3 years. He was Florida's only inside guy, period. When Keontae went down his first year, that was it. There was no other inside guy. Omar Payne was there, but Omar Payne has bounced around, and he has not been an inside presence anywhere. I think he's on his third school now. But Colin Castleton, after that game, he only got 8 shots off. Kentucky brought the double team from the backside, and Colin saw every double team creatively you could think of during his career, and it was very physical. And I got up. I finished with Mike White in the press room, and I come walking out there, and I go up, and my car it turned out was parked about 3 cars down from where Colin's parents were, and he was with parents and friends there and some family. And he saw me, and he kind of nodded, and I could tell by the look on his face. He had the weight of the world on his shoulders. He thought the Gators lost by 18 points, and he thought that he let the team down. You could tell him. And I looked at him, and I just walked over to him, and I said, "You're a warrior." I said, I said, "You should have shot 15 free throws." He shot 4 that night. The Gators only shot 13. And that was a game when Ron Groover, who I think is one of the worst officials in the world, and how he ever got to call Final Four last year is beyond me. But Ron Groover and Anthony Jordan and that crew they had a horrible night of skating. 6 free throws combined. And, there are people doing hard time in Rayford for less than what happened on the court that day. And I just told him, I said, "You're a warrior." And I said, "Don't let it get you down." I said, "Better days will be ahead." And he thanked me. But I could look at him and I could tell, my gosh, he was devastated. And every time I saw him after a ball game, it was the same thing. He wore the whole game on his sleeve, and he took it on himself for why the Gators lost ball games. That's
all right, so what's your question to Ben and me?
Well, I wanted your comments about that. I think that is the ultimate proof of a warrior, is somebody who bears who whether it's his fault or not, he bears that responsibility. He takes it upon himself to believe that he's the one that costs the game.
All right, Ben, you go ahead and I'll comment. All right.
I agree. I was blessed enough to be able to interview Colin this offseason when he's coming off the injury. And, when you first start playing college athletics, I don't believe the warrior mentality is always in you. It becomes you. Because, like you said, friends, you can see it. And I believe that's what, I'm preface this right. When it comes to journalism, right, not every journalist or not every broadcaster or whoever covers a team can come up to Colin. But friends, you can, because you can see it. Like, look, young man, all I care about is you playing hard. That don't mean you're going to get the end result. But if you get double teamed in college, when you averaging 16.5, you talking about, almost 8 rebounds, 2 blocks. Colin Castleton, he came back because he said, "Look, man, everybody wants to chase that legacy to try to get back to the NCAA tournament, but he's a hell of a player, man. And he knows he has that if I don't play well, it's going to be hard for us to win." And obviously the other night, man, when he broke his hand, man, you just feel bad for him because players, we don't know how to turn it off. you don't want to let your teammates down. I don't care. I mean, I was, and Colin, when it happened, I said, oh, God. And, buddy, you've been around a lot of players. I played with a lot of players like that to where it means something different. Yes, everybody has aspirations of playing professional. I get it. But this is the best time of your life, man. The hardest thing to do is if your teammates have to go on without you. So I do know the feeling. And Colin, I mean, coming from Michigan, being a Florida boy, able to come back home, I'm just happy for him. I feel bad for him. Obviously, but now he's gonna have to do his best for Felipe Franks. He's gonna have to cheer his team on from the sideline, and hopefully he can be that boost so they can keep it going. Hopefully.
I look at him and I think of the word man. He's a man, and what he did in this season, like Franz said, he came back specifically to help his team get to the tournament. That was his dream. It was 5th year. He could have been cashing checks somewhere, Europe or whatever, making money, and he thought, well, he's going to try and come back and do it. But once he was in it totally for the team, not just himself. You could tell he took every charge. He gave everything he had on every block he could possibly get. I mean, he was a warrior. Franz says he's right. He was a warrior, and really, he wanted to do well, but he was going to give of himself first, and whatever happened, happened. And so I really feel terrible for him going out like this and I guess they'll have a senior night, right, Franz? He'll get his accolades.
Yeah, they will, and that's going to be against LSU, final home game of the season. And I just have this belief that I think I read somewhere once that Douglas MacArthur, or maybe it was Patton, who said that the warrior, the ultimate dream for the warrior is that you go out on the field of battle, that there's nothing left, you have nothing left in you, and you live or you die on the field of battle, and that's the end of it all. And I gotta believe that, and I gotta tell you selfishly, that's how I wanted to see him go out. I didn't think that I didn't think Florida had a chance to make any kind of deep run in the NCAA tournament. I was just hoping they'd make it. And to see him not have that chance to go out on the field of battle.
I think Larry makes a good point here on this point thing. I'm sorry for interrupting you, Franz. I think he makes a great point. And Coach Gary West is saying Bill Russell could win a game without scoring a point. And to me, I've never seen a better shot blocker at Florida. Franz, you've seen a lot of basketball. I almost think they should have an award named after him for blocking shots. The Castleton block or something. I mean, the guy who blocks all these shots, because he kept that team in the game so many times. You know how hard it is to block a shot? I mean, I think I do, but maybe I don't. Do you, Franz?
I'm not tall enough, nor
man, you probably blocked a few in your time.
I blocked a couple. Blocking shots is like it's that want to. It's like if you a guard, if you a guard, and I know I got Colin behind me, I can play more aggressive defensively, because if I do get crossed, they got to get to Colin, and Colin's like, look, man, I'm a things like rim protector. Those things are so foreign now, to the point where guys are saying, look, bro, the reason why people used to like them bad boy Pistons, they used to protect the rim. If you get by Dumas or Isaiah, hey, man, here comes I mean, because you developing a reputation. It's like, Ben Wallace, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, because he was a specialist. I rebound and I defend. Dennis Rodman, I rebound and I defend. Nowadays, I got 7'6" guys on the perimeter shooting threes. Yeah. I'm just saying. A guy like Colin, he's a throwback, because he realizes, dude, not only are you skilled, you're rare. You actually play the way you look. You're almost 7 feet tall. You should be blocking shots. And that's what he's really, 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 really good at it. So, Hey, man, things like rebounding, boxing out, blocking shots, it is a lost art. And you know who I blame? I blame Dirk. I love you, Dirk. But Dirk killed the big man because Dirk couldn't do it. Dirk just started shooting, and now everybody want. Now Anthony Davis, everybody want to be a shooter. I'm a 6'10" point guard. Sit down, man. Get your behind down there and play with your back to the basket.
Yeah, one of the great things.
I jumped over a phone book once. That's why I didn't block too many shots.
Hey, listen, I'm going to tell you something, friends. This is such a beautiful thing in the Old Force. When Noah would block a shot,
yes,
and come back with the ball and lead the break down the court, that was an incredible time. But real quick, I want to shift gears on you guys because Lauren's coming up in a second. I want to get to another subject tonight. We're going to break down. It's a funny term, break down. The quarterback situation in Florida, based on what little bit we know, which is practically nothing, and have a conversation with Lauren, Coach Bettis, about where are we now in the quarterback situation, what impressed us, what do we know about this. Let's bring in Lauren and talk about that because they got to pick a quarterback in a couple of months here, and they're going to do it pretty quick, and they got to do it at a high level. So let's say good evening to Coach Meadows, and there he is right there. He's in a hole again.
How you guys doing?
Yeah. Got to take him out of that hole first, and he'll be fine. And then we're going to talk about the quarterbacks that would be. Obviously, Jack Miller and Graham Mertz. In France, what do you call him? The son of Graham.
The most famous Mertz since Fred and Ethel.
Yeah, there you go. So I heard two things. I don't know anything about them. I heard two funny facts. And you guys chip in if you know any, okay? Two things. Number one, Graham Mertz got a car, the NIL deal. He got a Range Rover, which I think is about a $90,000 car, but he didn't get the whole car. He's driving it, and he has the opportunity to buy it at a discount, okay? So he's got his car, which I don't know what that tells you, but he's got his car. And the second thing I heard about him was that Scott Carter told me. I told you this earlier, Ben. He interviewed Graham Mertz, okay? And at Graham Mertz, he said, why did you come here? What was the deciding factor? Not NIL money, whatever. He said, when I was here in December, I visited with the coaching staff and watched practice. He said, those guys were coaching their players so hard. He said, I saw that, and I saw, that's what I want. I want to be coached hard. That, to me, as I said earlier, Ben, is a promising sign. So let's let Lauren jump right in there and address those two things. And then, Franz, you can do it next.
Well, I think it's, like I said earlier, we talked about it on Tuesday. I think that, that's a young man who's letting you basically know that maybe the situation that he was in prior to was not ideal. And I think I've noted that, we talk about a guy like Hendon Hooker who struggled at Virginia Tech, transfers to Tennessee, sits for a minute, doesn't even win the job, but just change of scenery is good for him. A different breath of fresh air, the weather's a little nicer. And, Graham Mertz has already bought into what Billy Napier and his staff are selling. So I think that right away, his attitude, his whole aura about the game could change. We don't know what was going on in the meeting rooms and things like that at Wisconsin and what's going on in the huddle. But the fact that he was already impressed with the way that, the coaches were moving around and getting excited about things. And I'm sure he can see that Billy Napier and staff genuinely care about the players that they're coaching. And those things, I mean, he's already here with he's 99.9% bought in. Now, the more he gets ingrained into the offense and some of the things they're doing through these first two phases, I think it'd be good for him. I mean, he's got the pedigree. You look at the measurables, he had great high school tape. Like everybody said, is somebody that Nick Saban coveted. And, I think it could be a little better than people expect. But before I turn it over, I told a friend of mine I would do this. There's a house divided. Chris Barnett and Kristen Barnett, who are colleagues of mine, just had a baby girl. And she's a dog fan and he's a Gator fan there in Jacksonville. But I told him I'd shout them out. I know, Ben, it's tough for you, but just had to give him that
Mom and
shout.
Dad.
Don't do that, baby. Like, they better not put that baby on no Georgia stuff.
I was supposed to do it on Valentine's and I forgot. So, but no, that's pretty much what I think.
Well, it does take the mama. It does take the mama to have the baby too. Just in case you don't remember that, she has to be a part of that. So, all right. So Franz, you remark on those two things, the quarterbacks and
Well, obviously Graham Mertz has something because Kirby Smart, Lincoln Riley, Nick Saban all wanted him. Those are. You look at them; they've had some pretty good quarterbacks, wouldn't you say? And they've done fairly well, winning ball games. So obviously they saw something in him. Now you got to decide. You got to look at two things. Was he as good as he was going to be in high school? And we all have seen guys like that who every bit of potential was squeezed out of them by their high school coach. Ben, I guarantee you, up there in Augusta, you probably had 5 guys on your team like that just you looked at him, you said, "Holy cow, this guy's going to be a stud for somebody somewhere," and everything had been squeezed out of them by the time they got to college. You were one of these guys that came there, and you were just scratching the surface. We were very fortunate with you, but we see that every year because how many 4-star and 5-star guys do we see every single year that come to college somewhere and then they don't produce? Well, there's a reason, and that's because their high school coach got the best out of them. So that's one thing to look at. The other thing to look at is this. Did he run an offense at Wisconsin that was conducive to his abilities? Because it's kind of like this. You take Anthony Richardson and you try to make a straight drop back quarterback out of him, and you've got a guy that is a lost ball in the tall grass. Now you put him in a situation where you got RPOs where you can get him out on the edge, and now all of a sudden you got a guy that has every NFL scout drooling because they're thinking particularly after watching Patrick Mahomes make that run on a bad ankle and watching Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl. Everybody wants that quarterback who can get you 10, 15 yards. Now, I'll tell you what, that this kind of stuff happens, that you got to have that kind of guy at certain schemes. In this particular scheme, they want a quarterback who can throw the ball over the top and can hand the ball off to stud running backs. They got 2 big ones, 2 great ones coming back. The kid from Tulane that they just picked up is an absolute beast, I'm telling you. And then Treon Webb is going to be another one who's a beast. We got 4 fine running backs on this team. They want a guy that'll hand the ball off to these guys, make the right reads, and then when the situation calls for it, throw the ball over the top. Can Graham Mertz do that? I think based on what his high school tape showed, yes, he can, but can he do it? He's had 4 years at Wisconsin, and obviously they didn't get it out of him. So that's the question I have. Can they?
And your point being taken up by one of our listeners talking about Robert Turner. Look at Brock Berlin. He never did do anything that special later on at Miami. So sometimes those 5-stars they fizzle a little bit. All right. So now, Ben, you take it from here. Good to wrap up this subject, and then one more thing, and we'll go call it a night. But
no, I agree. I think sometimes we forget. If I'm a college quarterback, what can help boost my resume? Go to the SEC, play well. I mean, and the thing about Graham Mertz is what he proves is, man, all you hear about if you're not in the SEC is SEC football. That's all you hear about. Oh, y'all good, but can y'all beat them? Or y'all great. So you come to a place like Florida, and you get in the system that you got 2 running backs. You got 5. But you got 2 that's gonna run out there with you. You got an offensive line that's going, and you get a guy like Pearsall back. The news of the offseason was Pearsall saying I'm coming back, right? Because he says, hey man, but the man averaged 20 yards a catch. So you got a number 1 receiver. You talk about Xavier Henderson, little brother to CJ. He's coming back. We're gonna see what Zip in the tight end position is gonna do this year. And I think a guy like Graham Mertz, he understands that. Look, I did not choose Alabama these places because I didn't want to go there. I'm looking at the depth chart. I want to play. So I looked at Wisconsin. I'm gonna get on the field quicker than if I go. I mean, and for people that think that don't make no sense, when I'm coming out, yes, I was gonna pick Florida, no matter what. But the depth chart of Georgia and Jarvis Johnson, Randy McMichael, and Ben Watson. I'm sorry, it ain't enough reps. It just ain't gonna be enough reps to go around. But the opportunity presented itself for him to be able to come to Florida. And for those people saying, we got Graham Mertz, trust that Billy Napier know what they're doing on the recruiting trail. Coaches know who these players are, even if they go to other schools. They still know them. And his name came up because we're going to a more pocket passer, type quarterback who can run. Not a freak who can do anything with the football in his hands, and Anthony Richardson. That's gonna be more of a rhythm-based offense. I'm gonna drop back, I'm gonna go through my 1, go through my 2, go through my 3, check it down and throw it away. With a running game, I think Graham Mertz, he said he looked at the opportunity. And I'm telling you, if I'm a quarterback and I'm coming out, if I'm in the transfer portal, I want to go to the SEC or I want to go to USC. That's it. I either want to go out there with Lincoln Riley because he's the quarterback whisperer, or I want to come to the SEC because he goes out there and plays well, man. He got a shot. I mean, to really, really open some eyes because JT Daniels he's on what, team number 4? He's on team number 4 now. So I can live with him transferring, but 3 years, they said he was the most highly recruited quarterback since Russell Wilson. So the kid can play. We just got to see, everybody want to know about the big bad SEC, man. Hopefully, I'm rooting for him. He got on the right colors, so I'm rooting for him. But I think him and Jack Miller is going to make the spring that much more interesting.
Certainly will do that.
If I got a quarterback controversy, that means all the other positions can just go out there and play because we're going to be talking about, Mertz and freaking Miller for what? 3 weeks leading up to the freaking Orange and Blue game.
All season. All right, here it is, guys. Camera down. Hey, by the way, here's the news. SEC Media Days announced today, July 17th, 20th. Grand Hyatt in Nashville, Tennessee. Not sure if we're going to like that one or not, Francis. We've been to a bunch of them. But anyway, so the Gators will be on Wednesday, July 19th. They'll be there. All right, now here's the deal. Here's the question. Each of you gets, listen closely, because each of you gets 45 seconds to respond to this. How should Billy Napier's second year be judged at this year? Okay? Now, first of all, I mean, we know he's got to have better than Florida. Can't keep going 6 and 7. Something's got to change. But here's the thing. Let's look at the standards here, and I won't even bring in Steve Spurrier because that's not fair. But here is all the previous coaches prior to that, what their second years were like. Billy Napier was 6 and 7 and 3 and 5 in the SEC. Dan Mullen's second year, anybody want to guess? 10 and 3 and 5 and 3 in the SEC. Jim McElwain's second year, 10 and 4, 7 and 1 in the SEC. Will Muschamp's second year, 7 and 6, 3 and 5 in the SEC. And Urban Meyer, second year, 9 and 3 and 5 and 3 in the SEC. Man, that's some tall cotton right there now. This guy's going to have to measure up. How's he going to do it, Lauren? You got 45 seconds to respond.
Is that how is he going to do it?
Yeah, how's he going to do? How's he going to do in year 2?
I'm going to say 8 and 4.
8 and 4 says Lawrence. Okay, we'll start. All right, let's go next to Ben. Ben, how will he do in his second year? And will 8 and 4 be good enough?
8 and 4 is going to be good enough if you finish second in the East. Yeah, if you finish second in the East, 8 and 4 is just fine. But if you talking about 8 and 4 and you scratching and clawing for 3rd and 4th, that's not gonna work because at the end of the day, Billy Napier's biggest problem is not in Athens. This is Knoxville. Your biggest problem right now, you got to be able to beat Tennessee, convincingly and be competing for second in the East. I mean, look, once again, got to look presentable in Jacksonville. Can't lay no eggs in Jacksonville. But Heupel got something going right now with a quarterback that looked pretty good. He ain't hitting the hooker, but he's pretty freaking good. You're gonna have to be able to compete with them boys with that freaking pop. What is that? That sherbet looking orange. They a problem right now, man. They a problem right now.
Well, it's a problem when you got Tennessee and Georgia in your division because those are two good football teams. And Tennessee, I like what I've seen there. So, Franz, you got 45 seconds to wrap up your thoughts on that. How will Billy have to do, and how will it be judged?
8-4 is doable. 9-3 is possible. I think the Gators are going to do as well as the offensive line does. If the offensive line gets the job done, because I think the defense is going to be better, has to be better. It can't be worse than it was last year. And question is, does a year older make you a year better? To quote Billy Donovan, there, I don't know that it will, but I got to believe that these guys with experience will be. And I like the linebackers he picked up. I like Cameron Johnson in the middle at 6'6" and 340. And by golly, I think he has our big boy in the middle, Mr. Watson. I think he's got his attention because the word is he's down to 390 now. And if he's down to 390 or they can get him at 380 and they've got these two big boys in the middle, I can tell you the defense will be better. But 8-4 is possible. 9-3 is doable.
What did you say? You said 8-4, 8-4. Did you say 8-4, Lauren? I'm going to go.
I said 8-4. And I agree with Ben. It's got to be a good looking 8-4. Yeah. So
I got news for you. I think it's going to be a 7-5. That's where I got it right now. I got to get some more players there. Got to get some more players in there again. I got to see some things this spring, and I got to see what these quarterbacks look like. But that's where I got. All right, guys, great job as always. Top left, we like Hollywood squares. Franz Beard, top left square. Ben Troop in the top right, and Lauren Meadows in the hole. In the bottom right. So, guys, great job. Appreciate you very much. We'll talk to you next week. And thanks for making it an exceptional Orange and Blue Blood Thursday, guys.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, good night.
You got it, guys.
To the team. All right, we're going to wrap this thing up here now and say thank you for listening and watching. And, I think things are beginning to pick up here when spring starts. We've all got our minds on other things at the moment. I was talking to Scott Carter last night, and it's hard to get that fired up all by just football all the time, although we talk about it all the time on this show. But it's what we do here. I hope you enjoy it. We enjoy bringing it to you. I want to say thank you to our sponsors tonight, to Titan MRI, also to Jeffrey Mellon Law Firm, Mellon Law, and to Red Star Medical Research, by the way, with a great reputation as a high-quality, patient-centered clinical research facility in Ocala. Red Star Medical Research brings cutting-edge technology to the trials in Ocala on such things as Alzheimer's and psoriasis, osteoarthritis, migraines, fibromyalgia, along with many other conditions that affect us right here in this community. In fact, they'd like for you to take part in some of their clinical trials because they like to get indigenous information they can send off to the biomedical companies. If you're interested in being part of some of these, go to redstar.net and look up the information, find out how you qualify. In some cases, they do a compensation for time and travel. Red Star Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Back next week, same time, same station.